The Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest written story on Earth. We start with Tablet 1 of 11 tablets. The oldest written story on Earth. It comes to us from ancient Sumeria and was originally written on 12 clay tablets in cuneiform script. It's about the adventures of the historical king of Uruk, somewhere between 2750 and 2500 BC. The translator chose to eliminate Tablet 12 for personal reasons, with support from many literary, archaeological, and linguistic experts, because it appears to be more of a sequel to the first 11 tablets, containing a story about Enkidu volunteering to retrieve some objects that Gilgamesh dropped into the netherworld. This translation is based on the standard Akkadian edition, and it's filled with excerpts from the Old Babylonian where necessary. And we start with Tablet 1. Tablet 1. He who has seen everything, I will make known to the lands. I will teach about him who experienced all things alike. Anu granted him the totality of knowledge of all. He saw the secret, discovered the hidden. He brought information of the time before the flood. He went on a distant journey, pushing himself to exhaustion, but then was brought to peace. He carved on a stone, stele, all of his toils, and built the wall of Uruk Haven, the wall of the sacred Aena temple, the holy sanctuary. Look at its walls, which gleams like copper. Inspect its inner wall, the likes of which no one can equal. Take hold of the threshold stone. It dates from ancient time. Go close to the Aena temple, the residence of Ishtar, such as no later king or man ever equaled. Go up to the wall of Uruk and walk around. Examine its foundation. Inspect its brickwork thoroughly. Is not even the core of the brick structure made of kiln-fired brick? And did not the seven sages themselves lay out its plans? 1 league city, 1 league palm gardens, 1 league lowlands, the open area of the Ishtar temple, 3 leagues and the open area of the Uruk, the walls encloses. Find the copper tablet box, open of its lock of bronze, undo the fastening of its secret opening. Take and read out from the lapis lazuli tablet how Gilgamesh went through every hardship. Supreme over other kings, lordly in appearance, he is the hero born of Uruk, the goring wild bull. He walks out in front, the leader, and walks at the rear, trusted by his companions. Mighty Net, protector of his people. Raging flood wave, who destroys even walls of stone. Offspring of Lugalbanda, Gilgamesh is strong to perfection, son of the august cow, Rimat Ninsun. Gilgamesh is awesome to perfection. It was he who opened the mountain passes, who dug wells on the flank of the mountain. It was he who crossed the ocean, the vast seas to the rising sun, who explored the world regions, seeking life. It was he who reached by his own sheer strength Utanapishtim, the faraway, who restored the sanctuaries or cities that the flood had destroyed for teeming mankind. Who can compare with him in kindliness? Who can say, like Gilgamesh, I am king? Whose name from the day of his birth was called Gilgamesh? 2/3 of him is God, 1/3 of him is human. The great goddess Aruru designed the model for his body. She prepared his form, beautiful, handsome of men, perfect. He walks around in the enclosure of Uruk. Like a wild bull, he makes himself mighty, head raised over others. There is no rival who can raise his weapon against him. His fellows stand at the alert, attentive to his orders. And the men of Uruk become anxious Gilgamesh does not leave a son to his father. Day and night he arrogantly, ? The following lines are interpreted as rhetorical, perhaps spoken by the oppressed citizens of Uruk. Is Gilgamesh the shepherd of Uruk Haven? Is he the shepherd, bold, eminent, knowing, and wise? Gilgamesh does not leave a girl to her mother, the daughter of the warrior, the bride of the young man. The gods kept hearing their complaints, so the gods of heaven implored the Lord of Uruk, Anu, quote, "You have indeed brought into being a mighty wild bull, head raised. There is no rival who can raise a weapon against him. His fellows stand at the alert, attentive to his orders. Gilgamesh does not leave a son to his father. Day and night he arrogantly, is he the shepherd of Uruk Haven? Is he their shepherd? Bold, eminent, knowing, and wise. Gilgamesh does not leave a girl to her mother. The daughter of the warrior, the bride of the young man, Anu listened to their complaints, and the gods called out to Aruru, quote, "It was you, Aruru, who created mankind. Now create a Zikru to him. Let him be equal to his Gilgamesh's stormy heart. Let them be a match for each other, so that Uruk may find peace." When Aruru heard this, she created within herself the Zikrti of Anu. Aruru washed her hands. She pinched off some clay and threw it into the wilderness. In the wilderness she created valiant Enkidu, born of silence, endowed with strength by Ninurta. His whole body was shaggy with hair. He had a full head of hair like a woman. His locks billowed in profusion like Ashnan. He knew neither people nor settled living, but wore a garment like Sumukan. He ate grasses with the gazelles. He josted at the watering hole with the animals. As with animals, his thirst was slaked with mere water. A notorious trapper came face to face with him opposite the watering hole. At first, a second and a third day, he came face to face with him opposite the watering hole. On seeing him, the trapper's face went stark with fear, and he, Enkidu, and his animals drew back home. He was rigid with fear, though stock still, his heart pounded and his face drained of color. He was miserable to the core, and his face looked like one who had made a long journey. The trapper addressed his father, saying, "Father, a certain fellow has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anul. He continually goes over the mountains. He continually jostles at the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go up to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug, wrenched out my traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness." The trapper's father spoke to him, saying, "My son, there lives in Uruk a certain Gilgamesh. There is no other stronger than he, as he is as strong as the meteorite of Anu. So go set off to Uruk. Tell Gilgamesh of this man of might. He will give you the harlot Shamhat to take her with you. The woman will overcome this fellow as if she were strong. When the animals are drinking at the watering place, have her take off her robe and expose her sex. When he sees her, he will draw near her, and his animals, who grew up in the wilderness, will be alien to him." He heeded his father's advice. the trapper went off to Uruk. He made the journey, stood inside of Uruk, and declared to Gilgamesh, "There is a certain fellow who has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. He continually goes over the mountains. He continually jostles the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go up to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug, wrenched out my traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness." Gilgamesh said to the trapper, "Go, trapper, bring the harlot Shamhat with you. When the animals are drinking at the watering place, have her take off her robe and expose her sex, and when he sees her, he will draw near her, and his animals who grew up in his wilderness will be alien to him." The trapper went, bringing the harlot Shamhat with him. They set off on the journey, making direct way. On the third day they arrived at the appointed place, and the trapper and the harlot sat down at their posts. The first day and the second day sat opposite the watering hole. The animals arrived and drank at the watering hole. The wild beasts arrived and slaked their thirst with water. Then he, Enkidu, offspring of the mountains, who eats grasses with the gazelles, came to drink at the watering hole with the animals. With the wild beasts he slaked his thirst with water. Then Shamhat saw him, a primitive, a savage fellow from the depths of the wilderness. That is he. Shamhat released her clenched arms. That is he. Shamhat, release your clenched arms. Expose your sex so he can take in your voluptuousness. Do not be restrained. Take his energy. When he sees you, he will draw near you. Spread out your robe so he can lie upon you, and perform for his primitive the task of womankind. His animals who grew up in his wilderness will become alien to him, and his lust will groan over you. Shamhat unclutched her bosom, exposing her sex, and he took in her voluptuousness. She was not restrained, but took his energy. She spread out her robe, and he lay upon her. She performed for the primitive the task of womankind. His lust groaned over her. For 6 days and 7 nights Enkidu stayed aroused, and had intercourse with the harlot until he was sated with her charms. But when he turned his attention to his animals, the gazelles saw Enkidu and darted off. The wild animals distanced themselves from his body. Enkidu, his utterly depleted body. His knees that wanted to go off with his animals went rigid. Enkidu was diminished. His running was not as before. But then he drew himself up, for his understanding had broadened. Turning around, he sat down at the harlot's feet, gazing into her face, his ears attentive as the harlot spoke. The harlot said to Enkidu, "You are beautiful, Enkidu. You are become like a god. Why do you gallop around the wilderness with the wild beasts? Come, let me bring you into Uruk Haven, to the holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who struts his power over the people like a wild bull." What she kept saying found favor with him. Becoming aware of himself, he sought a friend. Enkidu spoke to the harlot. "Come, Shamhat, take me away with you, to the sacred holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who struts his power over the people like a wild bull. I will challenge him. Let me shout out in Uruk, I am the mighty one. Lead me in, and I will change the order of things. He whose strength is mightiest is the one born in the wilderness." Shamhat said to Enkidu, "Come, let us go, so he may see your face. I will lead you to Gilgamesh. I know where he will be. Look about, Enkidu, inside Uruk Haven, where the people show off in skirted finery, where every day is a day for some festival, where the lyre and the drum play continually, where harlots stand about prettily, exuding voluptuousness full of laughter, and on the couch of night the sheets are spread. Enkidu, you who do not know how to live, I will show you Gilgamesh, a man of extreme feelings. Look at him, gaze at his face. He is as handsome youth with freshness. His entire body exudes voluptuousness. He has mightier strength than you, without sleeping day or night. Enkidu, it is your wrong thoughts you must change. It is Gilgamesh who Shamhat loves, and Anu and Lil and La have enlarged his mind. Even before you came from the mountain, Gilgamesh in Uruk had dreams about you. Gilgamesh got up and revealed the dream, saying to his mother, "Mother, I had a dream last night. Stars of the sky appeared, and some kind of meteorite of Anu fell next to me. I tried to lift it, but it was too mighty for me. I tried to turn it over, but I could not budge it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land had assembled about it. The populace was thronging around it. The men clustered about it and kissed its feet as if it were a little baby. I loved it and embraced it as a wife. I laid it down at your feet, and you made it compete with me." The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise, all-knowing, said to her lord, Rimat Ninsun, the wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh, quote, "As for the stars of the sky that appeared and the meteorite of Anu which fell next to you, you tried to lift, but it was too mighty for you. You tried to turn it over, but were unable to budge it. You laid it down at my feet, and I made it compete with you, and you loved and embraced it as a wife. There will come to you a mighty man, a comrade who saves his friend. He is the mightiest in the land. He is strongest. His strength is mighty as a meteorite of Anu. You loved him and embraced him as a wife, and it is he who will repeatedly save you. Your dream is good and propitious." The second time Gilgamesh said to his mother, "Mother, I have had another dream. At the gate of my marital chamber there lay an axe, and people had collected about it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land had assembled about it. The populace was thronging around it. I laid it down at your feet. I loved it and embraced it as a wife, and you made it compete with me." The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise, all-knowing, said to her son, Ramat Ninshan, the wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh, "The axe that you saw is a man, that you love him and embrace as a wife, but that I have compete with you. There will come to you a mighty man, a comrade who saves his friend. He is the mightiest in the land. He is strongest. He is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu." Gilgamesh spoke to his mother, saying, "But the command of Enlil, the great counselor, so made pass, by the command of Enlil. May I have a friend and advisor may I have. You have interpreted for me the dreams about him." After the harlot recounted the dreams of Gilgamesh to Enkidu, the two of them made love. Tablet 2. Enkidu sits in front of her. The next 30 lines are missing. Some of the fragmentary lines from 35 on are restored from parallels in the Old Babylonian. Why? His own counsel. At his instruction, who knows his heart? Shamhat pulled off her clothing and clothed him with one piece. While she clothed herself with a second, she took hold of him as the gods do, and brought him to the hut of the shepherds. The shepherds gathered all around about him. They marveled to themselves. How the youth resembles Gilgamesh, tall in stature, towering up the battlements over the wall. Surely he was born in the mountains. His strength and his mighty as the meteorite of Anu. They placed food in front of him. They placed beer in front of him. Enkidu knew nothing about eating bread or food, and of drinking beer he had not been taught. The harlot spoke to Enkidu, saying, "Eat the food, Enkidu. It is the way one lives. Drink the beer, as is the custom of the land." Enkidu ate the food until he was sated. He drank the beer 7 jugs and became expansive and sang with joy. He was elated and his face glowed. He splashed his shaggy body with water and rubbed himself with oil and turned into a human. He put on some clothing and became like a warrior. He took up his weapon and chased lions so that the shepherds could eat. He routed the wolves and chased the lions. With Enkidu as their guard, the herders could lie down. A wakeful man, a singular youth, he was twice as tall as a normal man. The next 33 lines are missing. In the standard version, lines 57 to 86 are taken from the Old Babylonian. Then he raised his eyes and saw a man. He said to the harlot, "Shamat, have that man go away. Why has he come? I will call out his name." The harlot called out to the man and went over to him and spoke with him. "Young man, where are you hurrying? And this arduous pace? Why this arduous pace?" The young man spoke, saying to Enkidu, "They have invited me to a wedding, as is the custom of the people, the selection of brides. I have heaped up tasty delights for the wedding on the ceremonial platter, for the king of broad martyred Uruk. Open is the veil of the people for choosing a girl. For Gilgamesh, the king of broad martyred Uruk. Open is this veil of the people for choosing. He will have intercourse with the destined wife. He first, the husband afterwards. This is ordered by the council of Anu. From the severing of his umbilical cord, it has been destined for him." At the young man's speech, Enkidu's face flushed with anger. Several lines are missing here. Enkidu walked in front and Shamat after him. The standard version resumes. He, Enkidu, walked down the street of Uruk Haven mightily. He blocked the way through Uruk, the sheepfold. The land of Uruk stood around him. The whole land assembled about him. The populace was thronging around him. The men were clustered about him and kissed his feet as if he were a little baby. Suddenly, a handsome young man, for Ishtar had the bed of night, marriage is ready for Gilgamesh, as for a god, a counterpart is set up. Enkidu blocked the entry to the marital chamber and would not allow Gilgamesh to be brought in. They grappled with each other at the entry to the marital chamber. In the street they attacked each other, the public square of the land. The doorposts trembled and the wall shook. About 42 lines are missing from the standard version. Lines 103 to 129 are taken from the Old Babylonian version. Gilgamesh bent his knees, with his other foot on the ground, his anger abated, and he turned his chest away. After he turned his chest, Enkidu said to Gilgamesh, "Your mother bore you ever unique, the wild cow of the enclosure, named Sun. Your head is elevated over other men. Enlil has destined for you the kingship over the people." 19 lines are missing here. They kissed each other and became friends. The Old Babylonian becomes fragmentary, the standard version resumes. His strength is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. The mother of Gilgamesh spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, Ramat Nitsan said to her son, Ramar Nasun, my son, plaintively, she went up into his Shamas gateway. Plaintively she implored, Enkidu has no father or mother. His shaggy hair no one cuts. He was born in the wilderness. No one raised him. Enkidu was standing there and heard the speech. He sat down and wept, his eyes filled with tears. His arms felt limp, his strength weakened. They took each other by the hand, and their hands, like Enkidu, made a declaration to Gilgamesh. 32 lines are missing here. In order to protect the cedar forest, Enlil assigned Humbaba as a terror to human beings. Humbaba's roar is a flood, his mouth a fire, and his breath is death. He can hear 100 leagues away any rustling in his forest. Who would go down into his forest? Enlil assigned him as a terror to human beings, and whoever goes down into his forest paralyzes, will strike. Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, "What you say?" About 42 lines are missing here in the Standard Version. Lines 228 to 240 are taken from the Old Babylonian. Who, my friend, can ascend to the heavens? Only the gods can dwell forever with Shamash. As for human beings, their days are numbered, and whatever they keep trying to achieve is but wind. Now you are afraid of death. What has become of your bold strength? I will go in front of you, and your mouth can call out, "Go on closer, do not be afraid." Should I fall, I will have established my fame. They will say, "It was Gilgamesh who locked in battle with Humbaba the Terrible." You were born and raised in the wilderness. A lion leaped up on you, so you have experienced it all. 5 lines are fragmentary. I will undertake it, and I will cut down the cedar. It is I who will establish fame for eternity. Come, my friend, I will go over to the forge and have them cast the weapons in our presence. Holding each other by the hand, they went over to the forge. The Standard Version resumes at this point. The craftsmen sat and discussed with one another. We should fashion the axe. The hatchet should be 1 talent in weight. Their sword should be 1 talent, the armor 1 talent, their armor. Gilgamesh said to the man of Uruk, "Listen to me." 5 lines are missing here. You, men of Uruk, who know, I want to make myself more mighty, and will go to the distance. Journey. I will face fighting such as I have never known. I will set out on a road I have never traveled. Give me your blessings. I will enter the city gate of Uruk. I will devote myself to the New Year's festival. I will perform the New Year's ceremonies. In the New Year's festival will take place celebrations. They will keep shouting, "Hurrah! Hurrah!" In Enkidu spoke to the elders. What the man of Uruk say to him that he must not go to the cedar forest. The journey is not to be made. A man who, the guardian of the cedar forest, the noble counselors of Uruk arose and delivered their advice to Gilgamesh. You are young, Gilgamesh. Your heart carries you off. You do not know what you're talking about. Gave birth to you. Humbaba's roar is a flood. His mouth is fire, his breath death. He can hear any rustling in the forest 100 leagues away. Who would go down into his forest? Who among even the Igigi gods can comfort him? In order to keep the cedar safe, Enlil assigned him as a terror to human beings. Gilgamesh listened to the statement of his noble counselors. 5 lines are missing to the end of the tablet 2. Tablet 3. The elders spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, Gilgamesh, do not put your trust in just your vast strength, but keep a sharp eye out. Make each blow strike in mark. The one who goes on ahead saves the comrade. The one who knows the route protects his friend. Let Enkidu go ahead of you. He knows the road to the cedar forest. He has seen fighting and has experienced battle. Enkidu will protect the friend, will keep the comrade safe. Let his body urge him back to the waves, to the wives. Quote, in your assembly we have entrusted the king to you, Enkidu, and on your return you must entrust the king back to us. Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, Come on, my friend, let us go to the Engalma temple, to Ninsun, the great queen. Ninsun is wise, all-knowing. She will put the advisable path to our feet. Taking each other by the hand, Gilgamesh and Enkidu walked to the Egalma, the great palace, to Ninsun, the great queen. Gilgamesh arose and went to her. Ninsun, even though I am extraordinarily strong, I must now travel a long way to where Humbaba is. I must face fighting such as I have not known, and I must travel on the road that I do not know, until the time that I go and return, until I reach the cedar forest, until I kill Humbaba the terrible, and eradicate from the land something baneful that Shamash hates. Intercede with Shamash on my behalf. If I kill Humbaba and cut his cedar, let there be rejoicing over all the land, and I will erect a monument of the victory before you. The words of Gilgamesh, her son, grieving, Queen Ninsun heard over and over. Ninsun went into her living quarters. She washed herself with the purity plant. She donned a robe worthy of her body. She donned jewels worthy of her chest. She donned her sash. She put on her crown. She sprinkled water from a bowl onto the ground. And went to the rooftop. She went up to the roof and set incense in front of Shamash. I said, offering fragment cuttings. I raised her arms to Shamash. Why have you imposed, nay, inflicted, a restless heart on my son, Gilgamesh? Now you have touched him so that he wants to travel a long way to where Humbaba is. He will face fighting such as he has not known, and will travel on the road that he does not know, until he goes away and returns, until he reaches the cedar forest, until he kills Humbaba the terrible, and eradicates from the land something baneful that you hate. On the day that you see him on the road, may Ajah, the bride, without fear remind you, and command also the watchmen of the night, the stars and the night, your father, Sin. She banked up the incense and uttered the ritual words. She called to Enkidu and would give him instructions. Enkidu the mighty, you are not of my womb, but now I speak to you along with the sacred votaries of Gilgamesh. The high priestess, the holy women, the temple servers. She laid a pendant on Enkidu's neck. The high priestesses took, and the daughters of the gods. I have taken Enkidu to Gilgamesh I have taken, until he goes and returns, until he reaches the cedar forest. Be it a month, be it a year. About 11 lines are missing here, and the placement of the following fragment is uncertain. The gate of cedar, Enkidu in the temple of Shamash, and Gilgamesh in the Egalma. He made an offering of cuttings, the sons of the king. Perhaps some 60 lines are missing here. Enkidu will protect the friend, will keep the comrade safe. Let his body urge him back to the wives. In our assembly, we have entrusted the king to you, and on your return, you must entrust the king back to us. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, my friend, turn back. The road, the last lines are missing here. Tablet 4. At 20 leagues, they broke for some food. At 30 leagues, they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in a whole day, a walk of a month and a half. On the third day, they drew near to the Lebanon. They dug a well facing Shamash, the setting sun. Gilgamesh climbed up a mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash. Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. He made him lie down, and in a circle they, like grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night, his sleep came to an end. So he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling? Enkidu, my friend, I have had a dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. In the mountain gorges, the mountain fell down on me, on us, wet like flies. He who was born in the wilderness." Enkidu interpreted the dream for his friend. "My friend, your dream was favorable. The dream is extremely important. My friend, the mountain which you saw in the dream is Humbaba. It means he will capture Humbaba and kill him and throw his corpse into the wasteland. In the morning, there will be a favorable message from Shamash." At 20 leagues, they broke for some food. At 30 leagues, they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in the whole day, a walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash. Gilgamesh climbed up a mountain peak, made a libation of flour. "Mountain, bring me a dream." It seems to be the same as what we read before. "My friend, did you not call me out?" he says. "Sank to my knees, gave me water to drink from his water skin." Okay, that's... "And the dream I had so striking, so disturbing, I was grappling with the wild bull of the wilderness. With his bellow, he split the ground, a cloud of dust, to the sky. I sank to my knees in front of him. He holds that encircled my arm, my tongue hung out, my temples throbbed. He gave me water to drink from his water skin. My friend, the god to whom we go is not the wild bull. He is totally different. The wild bull that you saw is Shamash, the protector. In difficulties he holds our hand. The one who gave you water to drink from the water skin is your personal god who brings honor to you. Lugalbanda. We should join together and do one thing, a deed such as has never before been done in the whole land. At 20 leagues, again they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for night. Walking 50 leagues in the whole day, a walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash. Gilgamesh climbed up a mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached covering. He made him lie down, and in a circle, they, like grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night, his sleep came to an end, so he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call me out? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling? Enkidu, my friend, I have had a dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. The heavens roared, and the earth rumbled. Then it became deathly still, and darkness loomed. A bolt of lightning cracked, and a fire broke out, and where it kept thickening. They rained death. Then the white-hot name dimmed, and the fire went out, and everything that had been falling around turned to ash. Let us go down into the plain so we can talk it over." Enkidu heard the dream that had presented and said to Gilgamesh, about 40 lines are missing here. At 20 leagues they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues the whole day, a walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash. Gilgamesh climbed up the mountain. He made a libation of flour and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. He made him lie down, and in a circle they like grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the midst of the night his sleep came to an end, so he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling? Enkidu, my friend, I have had a fourth dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. About 11 lines are missing here. He was cubits tall, Gilgamesh. Enkidu listened to his dream. The dream that you had is favorable. It is extremely important, my friend. This Hambuba Eke. Before it becomes light, we will achieve victory over him. Hambuba, against whom we rage, we will, the triumph over him, and triumph over him. In the morning there will be a favorable message from Shamash. At 20 leagues they broke for some food, 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in a whole day. A walk of a month and a half. They dug the well facing Shamash. Gilgamesh climbed up the mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash. Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. He made him lie down in a circle, like the grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested, his chin on his knees, slept that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night, his sleep came to an end. He got up and said to his friend, well, we won't go through that again. Let's go back to the dream now. Enkidu, my friend, I had a fifth dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. His tears were running in the presence of Shamash. What you said in Uruk, be mindful of it, stand by me. Gilgamesh, the offspring of Uruk Havan, Shamash heard what issued from his mouth, and suddenly there resounded a warning sound from the sky. Hurry, stand by him so that he, Humbaba, does not enter the forest, and does not go down into the thickets and hide. He has not put on his 7 coats of armor. He is wearing only 1, but has taken off 6. They, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they lunge at each other like raging wild bulls. One name he bellowed full of, the guardian of the forest bellowed, Humbaba like, one alone cannot. Strangers. A slippery path is not feared by 2 people who help each other. Twice 3 times. A 3-ply rope cannot be cut. The mighty lioness cubs can roll him over. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, As soon as we have gone through into the cedar forest, let us split open the tree and strip off its branches. Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, Why, my friend, we so wretchedly? We have crossed over all the mountains together in front of us before we have cut down the cedar. My friend, you who are experienced in battle, who, fighting, you, and need not fear. Let your voice bellow forth like the kettle drum. Let the stiffness in your arms depart. Let the paralysis in your legs go away. Take my hand, my friend, we will go on together. Your heart should burn to do battle. Pay no heed to death, do not lose heart. The one who watches from the side is a careful man, but the one who walks in front protects himself and saves his comrade. And through their fighting, they established fame. As the 2 of them reached the evergreen forest, they cut off their talk and stood still. Tablet 5. They stood at the forest edge, gazing at the top of the cedar tree, gazing at the entrance to the forest, where Humbaba would walk there as a trail. There was a trail. The roads led straight on. The path was excellent. Then they saw the Cedar Mountain, the dwelling of the gods, the throne dais of Imini. Across the face of the mountain, the cedar brought forth luxurious foliage. Its shade was good, extremely pleasant. The thorn bushes were matted together. The woods were a thicket among the cedars, the boxwood. The forest was surrounded by a ravine 2 leagues long, and again, for 2/3 of that distance, suddenly the swords, and after the sheaths, the axes were smeared, dagger and sword alone. Humbaba spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, He does not come? Enlil? Enkidu spoke to Humbaba, saying, Humbaba, one alone, strangers. A slippery path is not feared by two people who help each other. Twice, 3 times, a 3-ply rope cannot be cut. The mighty lion, 2 cubs, can roll him over. Humbaba spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, An idiot and a moron should give advice to each other. But you, Gilgamesh, why have you come to me? Give advice, Enkidu, you son of a fish, who does not even know his own father, to the large and the small turtles which do not suck their mother's milk. When you were still young, I saw you, but did not go over to you, you in my belly. You have brought Gilgamesh into my presence. You stand, an enemy, a stranger, Gilgamesh, throat and neck. I would feed your flesh to the screeching vulture, the eagle, and the vulture. Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, My friend, Humbaba's face keeps changing. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, Why, my friend, are you whining so pitiably, hiding beneath your whimpering? Now there, my friend, in the coppersmith's channel, again to blow the bellows for an hour, the glowing metal for an hour, to send the flood to crack the whip. Do not snatch your feet away, do not turn your back, strike even harder. May they be explained, head fell, may they be expelled, head fell, and they confronted him. The ground split open with the heels of their feet. As they whirled around in circles, Mount Hermon and Lebanon split. The white clouds darkened. Death rained down on them like fog. Shamash raced up against Humbaba, mighty tempests. South wind, north wind, east wind, west wind, whistling wind, piercing wind, blizzard, bad wind, wind of Simuru, demon wind, ice wind, storm, sandstorm. 13 winds rose up against him and covered Humbaba's face. He could nor but through the front and could not scramble out the back. So that Gilgamesh's weapons were in reach of Humbaba, Humbaba begged for his life, saying to Gilgamesh, You are young yet, Gilgamesh. Your mother gave birth to you, and you are the offspring of Rimni Ninsun. It was at the word of Shamash, the lord of the mountain, that you were roused to this expedition. O scion of the heart of Uruk, King Gilgamesh, 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 let me go. I will dwell with you as your servant. As many trees as you command me, I will cut down for you. I will guard for you myrtle wood, wood fine enough for your palace. Enkidu addressed Gilgamesh, saying, My friend, do not listen to Humbaba. 10 lines are missing, apparently. Humbaba sees that Gilgamesh is influenced by Enkidu and moves to dissuade Enkidu. Quote, You understand the rules of my forest, the rules. Further, you are aware of the things so ordered by Enlil. I should have carried you up and killed you at the very entrance of the branches of my forest. I should have fed your flesh to the screeching vulture, the eagle, and the vulture. So now, Enkidu, clemency is upon you. Speak to Gilgamesh to spare my life. Enkidu addressed Gilgamesh, saying, My friend, Humbaba, guardian of the cedar forest, gird up, kill, pulverize, and destroy him. Humbaba, guardian of the forest, gird up, kill, pulverize, and destroy him. Before the preeminent god Enlil hears, and the gods be filled with rage against us, Enlil is in Nippur, Shamash is in Sipar, erect an eternal monument proclaiming how Gilgamesh killed Humbaba. When Humbaba heard, about 10 lines missing here, the forest, and denunciations have been made, but you are sitting there like a shepherd and like a hireling of his mouth. Now, Enkidu, clemency is upon you. Speak to Gilgamesh that he may spare my life. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, My friend Humbaba, guardian of the forest, gird up, kill, pulverize, and destroy him before the preeminent god Enlil hears, and the gods are full of rage at us. Enlil is in Nippur, Shamash is in Sipar. Erect an eternal monument proclaiming how Gilgamesh killed Humbaba. Humbaba heard. about 10 lines are missing here. May he not live the longer of the two. May Enkidu not have any share, more than his friend Gilgamesh. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, My friend, I have been talking to you, but you have not been listening to me. You have been listening to the curse of Himbaba, his friend, and by his side they pulled out his insides, including his tongue. He jumped. Abundance fell over the mountain, abundance fell over the mountain. They cut through the cedar, while Gilgamesh cuts down the tree. Enkidu searches through the Urmazalu. Enkidu addressed Gilgamesh, saying, My friend, we have cut down the towering cedar whose top scrapes the sky. Make from it a door, 72 cubits high, 24 cubits wide, 1 cubit thick. Its fixture, its lower and upper pivots will be out of one piece. Let them carry it to Nippur. The Euphrates will carry it down, and Nippur will rejoice. They tied together a raft. Enkidu steered it, and Gilgamesh held the head of Humbaba. Now we go to Tablet 6. He washed out his marred hair, and cleaned up his equipment, shaking out his locks down over his back, throwing off his dirty clothes and putting on clean ones. He wrapped himself in regal garments and fastened the sash. When Gilgamesh placed his crown on his head, Princess Ishtar raised her eyes to the beauty of Gilgamesh. Come along, Gilgamesh, be you my husband. To me grant your lusciousness. Be you my husband, and I will be your wife. I will have harnessed for you a chariot of lapis lazuli in gold, with wheels of gold and horns of electrum. It will be harnessed with great stormy mountain mules. Come into our house with the fragrance of cedar. And when you come into our house, the doorposts, the throne dais, I will kiss your feet. Bowed down beneath you will be kings, lords, and princes. The Lulubu people will bring you the produce of the mountains and countryside as tribute. Your she-goats will bear triplets, your ewes twins. Your donkeys under burden will overtake the mule. Your steed at the chariot will be bristling to gallop. Your axe at the yoke will have no match. Gilgamesh addressed Princess Ishtar, saying, What would I have to give you if I married you? Do you need oil or garments for your body? Do you like anything for food or drink? I would gladly feed you food fit for a god. I would gladly give you wine fit for a king. May the street be your home. May you be clothed in a garment that may any lusting man marry you. An oven who ice. A half-door that keeps out neither breeze nor blast. A palace that crushes down valiant warriors. An elephant who devours its own covering. Pitch that blackens the hands of its bearer. A waterskin that soaks its bearer through. Limestone that buckles out the stone wall. A battering ram that attracts the enemy land. A shoe that bites its owner's feet. Where are your bridegrooms that you keep forever? Where is your little shepherd bird that went up over you? See here now, I will recite the list of your lovers. Of the shoulder, his hand, Tammuz, the lover of your earliest youth. For him you have ordained lamentations upon year. You loved the colorful little shepherd bird, and then hit him, breaking his wing, so now he stands in the forest crying, My wing. You loved the supremely mighty lion, yet you dug for him 7 and again 7 pits. You loved the stallion, famed in battle, and you ordained for him the whip, the goad, and the lash. Ordained for him to gallop for 7 and 7 hours. Ordained for him drinking from muddled waters. You ordained for his mother Silili to wail continuously. You loved the shepherd, the master herder, who continually presented you with bread baked in embers, and who daily slaughtered for you a kid. Yet you struck him and turned him into a wolf. So his own shepherds now chase him, and his own dogs snap at his shins. You loved Ishulanu, your father's date gardener, who continually brought you baskets of dates and brightened your table daily. You raised your eyes to him, and you went to him. O my Ishulanu, let us taste of your strength. Stretch out your hand to me and touch our vulva. Ishulanu said to you, Mel, what is it you want from me? Has my mother not baked, and have I not eaten, that I should now eat food under contempt and curses, that the alfalfa grass should be my only cover against the cold? As you listened to his words, you struck him, turning him into a dwarf. You made him live in the middle of his garden of labors, where the mihu do not go up, nor the bucket of dates down. Now me. It is me you love, and you will ordain for me as for them? When Ishtar heard this, in a fury she went up in the heavens, going to Anu, her father, and crying, going to Anrum, her mother, and weeping. Father, Gilgamesh has insulted me over and over. Gilgamesh has recounted despicable deeds about me, despicable deeds and curses. Anu addressed Princess Ishtar, saying, What is the matter? Was it not you who provoked King Gilgamesh? So Gilgamesh recounted despicable deeds about you, despicable deeds and curses. Ishtar spoke to her father Anu, saying, We'll continue with part 2.